The Deal News Podcast, episode 244 for January 30th. Nerds versus Jocks. I'm joined by Lewis and Dan. Hey, fellas.
Hey
guys.
there.
How's it going?
Awesome.
Nice.
It's going well.
Oh, good. Well,
Now, which one of us are the nerds and which ones are the jocks? That's what I want to know.
And how am I going to force you to compete to the death? That's the question. Hopefully we'll find out later, depending on how many stories we can get to. Sometimes we don't get to the titular story, and it's an embarrassment for everyone. But I think we're going to get to these stories in time, so I'm good with standing by that title. But before we get to that, I wanted to do some follow-ups to some stories that we have been following. Last week we talked about the Best Buy printable coupon, and one facet of the whole thing that happened last week is something that we didn't mention, and I thought we should give a little bit of service to it right now. Something that I didn't think about with the canceling of the coupon are those people that printed out the original coupon, the one that didn't have the exclusions against Apple gear or gift cards. People who had printed that out and gone to Best Buy to buy something, and not even like to take advantage of it, not to buy a gift card, but just to like buy something at Best Buy, like people tend to do.
Just to use the coupon.
Yeah, just to use the coupon. And by the time they got up to the register, they found out that Best Buy caught on to how people were abusing it and canceled the coupon across the board. So you're left with a lot of people who were shopping with a coupon that they thought was valid but had been invalidated by the company across the board. What Best Buy should have done is just find some way of adding exceptions to the coupon so that didn't work, because then you're stuck at the store with a coupon that doesn't work, and you don't know that they released a new version of the coupon to go get, or even if you did, how would you print it out? How would you know? So I think that's a key portion of the demographic of people affected by this coupon that I don't think we gave enough mention to last week. So I can kind of see more of the aggravation over that coupon now when taken from that perspective. Whereas before I was thinking about it as just like people who were abusing it and people who were just using it, and what does it matter? But it matters because people who were going to just use it, got kind of stabbed in the back there, by printing out a piece of paper and bringing it with them, and it's not worth the paper that it's printed on. So yes, that's an additional case to that coupon that I thought we should bring up.
Interesting.
The other follow-up is something that we have been following. I know I have with bated breath. Is the Hostess debacle? Hostess having gone bankrupt. What's going to happen to all of their tasty sweet treats? Well, we do have some news coming through. This is about their Drake's line of cakes, not Twinkies or what are their other ones? The cupcake ones, but like a secondary line of their products has been bought by a company called McKee. They are the ones that make the Little Debbie's brand of snack cakes.
Makes sense. I could see that. Okay.
Yeah, that was an easy buy.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense in that it's a snack cake maker buying another snack cake maker's name brand.
Right.
But what they're doing is they're not going to fold the two brands together. They're going to continue to make both brands of snack cakes, even though up to this point they were essentially competitors. So now they're going to be competing with themselves on the store shelves of who's going to buy Little Debbie and who's going to buy Drake's cakes. I mean, it kind of makes sense because people already buy both, and now you're one company selling to two markets of people.
Right.
But you would think that there's at least a little bit of cannibalization of your own market going on there,
well,
right?
Kind of. I mean, it seems like Drake's, which, by the way, am I the only one that thinks that the Drake's pelican looks a lot like the Vlasic pickle spokesperson?
It's a pelican. I always thought it was a goose.
I thought it was a stork when I first saw him, but it's like I can't really tell from the picture. It looks like the Vlasic pickle.
I have to do one of these things that looks really bad on the video version of the podcast so that I can get a closer look at the picture. Hang on.
Oh.
I think it's a duck, right? A drake is a male duck, right?
It is a duck. But look at the beak. The beak is looks like a pelican.
Well, it's just a duck with that in need of rhinoplasty. Really,
and who can bake apparently because
I guess so.
Well, not being attractive, it gets into the more homely type of things. Exactly. It wasn't going to go into modeling, so it had to learn the domestic things.
Had to learn to bake.
Yeah. Right.
No, but here's the thing. I think it's actually a brilliant idea because they can still go ahead and do the Hostess brand of the snack cakes that we know and love, and still maintain the Drake's brand, which are like what, Devil Dogs, Funny Bones, and Yodels.
Yeah, something like that, right?
So it's like I don't see Twinkies and Ho-Hos and Ding Dongs and those other things taking that big of a bite out of their profit. No pun intended. Thank you.
Well, but
so
I mean,
I think it's a good fit.
Besides that, I mean, someone else is going to buy the Twinkies and the other ones. The actual like core Hostess ones. These Drake's ones. I'm more talking about that Little Debbie's Markets snack cakes, which are a lot like the ones that they just bought, which is a little weird. I think they have like their own version of a Yodel, right?
So they have their own version of a Twinkie as well, called a Cloud Cake.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to make things even more confusing then.
Yeah.
Everyone's
It's going to be very strange, but honestly, I think they should, because I would be surprised if the Cloud Cake is outselling the Twinkie.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Cloud Cake. It doesn't even sound right. Cloud Cake.
No, it doesn't. Do I have to upload the filling up to the cloud or something?
You can buy it once and eat it anywhere you want.
Exactly.
It sounds like something you'd get in Amsterdam. I'll have the Cloud Cake, please.
Yeah.
But I think it'll work for them. I think the bottom line is they didn't want to get rid of the Drake name, and it makes sense, They have that branding. Everyone knows that duck, goose, pelican, whatever it was. Yeah, that bird. Everyone recognizes that bird, and it would have, I think, hurt them more to just all of a sudden drop that. And
I agree.
But I mean, they say that they're going to keep them around right now. But I mean, going forward, they're going to find a way to sort of incorporate them, right? I mean, slowly, like if you look at the box now, it says Drake's up at the top and below it, it's like by Hostess, and obviously it's probably going to say Drake's by Little Debbie, and then that Little Debbie thing is going to get a little bigger, and then it's going to be like Little Debbie presents Drake's, and then it's going to be really big Little Debbie's, formerly known as Drake, not the rapper.
And then Little Debbie's going to go a beak. And
this is going to be like Lauren by Ralph Lauren. These are all going to be designer cakes by the time we're done.
Exactly. You'll never know what you're going to buy at the outlet store either. Little Debbie's drinks.
No, who knows?
Factory second Little Debbie cakes.
They'll be selling faux cakes on the sidewalk.
All right, so those are the follow-ups. Let's get to our big news, and this is where we get into the nerd news of the day. Not necessarily within our core competency. Can't even say it. Obviously, that word is not within my competency. But I think it's something that affects most people that will be listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoy this conversation we're about to have about the big news of the week being that J.J. Abrams has been slated to take over the Star Wars franchise. Nerd news!
Wow.
What do you guys think about this? We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. Like I said, it doesn't really apply to consumer news, but I thought we might have opinions about this. Are you guys big Star Wars nerds?
I enjoy. I wouldn't say. I mean, let's put it this way. I don't have like a stockpile of Star Wars toys in my office, right. But I have been known to run around the house with a Darth Vader helmet on once in a while. much to the dismay of my neighbors and my dog.
Close the blinds if you're gonna do that.
Exactly.
You pervert.
But now this is the thing, right? This is the thing here. If J.J. Abrams is in fact taking it over and going to do it, I am hoping and praying that the opening sequence of the first movie has C-3PO sitting up in bed going, I just had the worst 3 dreams of my life. That's all I want.
Do you think they're going to end with like a quick cut to black and it's going to say Star Wars on there?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. See, for me, Lewis, are you a big Star Wars fan?
I am and I'm not. I think I'm going to lose my geek cred on this one. As a kid, I loved, I loved Return of the Jedi. I even had my parents got me the little what is it, like the little vinyl record? It's a storybook, which I think is still somewhere in my parents' house. But then, you know, I watched it later on as an adult, and I was
then you grew up.
No, it's not even so much that I grew up. It's just that it annoyed me. It annoyed me. It just annoyed me. It went from like loving it as a kid to like just being annoyed. And it's stupid what annoyed me. What annoyed me is the fact that Darth Vader loses.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that kind of lost me at the Ewoks.
I'm talking to some really dark people right now.
Yeah, they lost me at Ewoks. I was fortunate enough to see all 3 of the original, the good ones, in the theater. So it's like, it was amazing to see that. And then, much like you, Lewis, it seemed like I started getting annoyed when there was re-release after re-release. Okay, we're gonna fix the blue screen now. Okay, we're gonna dumb down the Ewoks. Okay, we're gonna release this, and it was like, oh, how many times can you rebrand, refranchise, and redo?
Stick to the classic. The classic was great. Don't change it. It was great.
Yeah, but the first 3 were awesome.
Yeah.
And then what was it that they did? Was it the episode 1, I think, which I tried watching? I was
with Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, that's the one that lost me. After that, I was like, all right, sorry, man.
I'm of the school where I grew up loving those movies. I mean, I had like the special release edition VHS tapes.
Wow!
It was like the time where they remastered them and released them in letterbox format on VHS tape, and it was the last time you could get that version of them, because once they went to DVD, they were all the updated ones with all the updated footage and scenes and everything added. And I loved them back then, but then I didn't like the 3 movies, and I kind of fell out of love with them, and to the point where it kind of tainted the originals for me, where I would rather just look back fondly on them and remember them than watch anything new going forward and be reminded of how great they were and how bad it is now. You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I sit on it. But with J.J. Abrams, I don't know, like, he took over Star Trek, and everyone thought it was going to be terrible, and that was a pretty solid movie.
He did good on that one. You know, did really well.
But that's the same guy who did Lost, though, right? Yeah. And I never saw Lost completely, but I know so many people like, don't waste your life. It's like, don't, you know.
Yeah. See, I think the problem that we could get into with J.J. Abrams helming these is if he's not constrained to saying, look, you have a trilogy of movies and that's it, like, get your story told. If it's left more open-ended, where it's like, well, you'll do the next movie and then we'll make a movie after that, and then, you know, another one. I think he will wind up doing a disservice to it. I mean, I think that was the problem with Lost. Like, had Lost been 3 seasons long, people would have come away thinking, like, that was awesome, you know, because they would have had to wrap it up. They wouldn't have had to keep introducing new loose ends. So I think if they constrain him by saying, here's 3 movies, do them well, and then you're out, he probably won't want to do more than 3 as well, you know. I think it might be something, good. Good for the franchise.
It might be. I think J.J. Abrams should just be the king of the remake.
Yeah.
Like, they should hand him, like, The Notebook to redo. I think that would be awesome. He should just do that, like, do 1 or 2 movies and then move on to the next franchise.
See, the other thing for me is that now that he's in charge of Star Wars and Star Trek, growing up, you were always led to believe that these were 2 diametrically opposed worlds, you know, like you're supposed to be fighting with, oh, you like Star Trek more than Star Wars, you're wrong, you know, and now to have one person in charge of it, it's kind of like pulling the curtain back and being like, we've been playing against, like, he played us against each other this whole time, you know. So I don't know, I think there needs to be that kind of opposition in order for the franchises to compete well with each other, though Star Trek has been rebooted and has been doing well, and Star Wars has not. So, you know, there goes that theory as well.
Right.
So, just something to note. I thought, give some, worried thoughts about J.J. Abrams into it. All right, now let's move on to the counterpoint of Jock News.
Nice.
Let's say there's some information we have about streaming the Super Bowl. I don't know. Did you guys stream the Super Bowl last year? It was the first time it was available for streaming online and via your cell phone.
I didn't even watch it, to be honest.
No, I think I watched
halftime with Madonna, and that's it. And even that, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I was embarrassed for her, so I stopped watching halfway through.
Yeah, once the guy in the slack line came out, that's when I was.
I was like, all right. You look fit, for your age, but
well done for still standing up.
yeah, well done.
But if you did stream it last year, the biggest disappointment was that you could not watch the commercials or the halftime show. If you were watching it on your computer, it would just go to a screen saying like, "We'll be right back," or it would play like a looping ad of whatever.
Which is pretty huge. Why would they not let you watch that?
Right? That is a huge failing on the streaming part.
Yeah, that's actually that's the only reason I watch the Super Bowl, to be honest with you, is for the commercials.
Right? So I was working on this piece because I did the piece last year informing people that they could stream, and I was looking for the reactions of how people felt about streaming last year and if it were any good. And I was looking for things about the quality of it, but all anyone wanted to complain about was the commercials and the halftime show. And I'm like, well, I think people are complaining about the wrong I mean, it's a football game first, right? I mean, people should be complaining about the football game. But CBS, who's going to be streaming it this year, they have taken the reins over and realized that everyone wanted the commercials and the halftime show. So they have gotten the rights to show those things during the stream. So the stream will be better this year. So I guess if you guys didn't stream it or even watch it last year, there's no sense in really asking you if you're going to stream it or watch it this year.
No, not so much.
Who's doing the halftime, by the way? Do you know?
Beyonce, right?
Oh, Beyonce?
Is she? Isn't it?
Well, all right.
Yeah.
I just know she did the inaugural. That's all I know.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, Beyonce. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm sure that there's going to be some guest appearances as well. Just like
now, is J.J. Abrams going to direct it? And
he is.
Okay, it's very good.
It's going to challenge your conceptions of what you thought was a halftime show. So yeah, if you are the type to watch the football, there are multiple ways of watching it this year, and better ways than last year as well. Yeah.
Are you going to watch it? Do you even watch it? Are you even a sports guy?
No, not at all.
Are any of us sports guys here? I'm not.
So I think I know what category we fall into now. Let's see.
Yeah. I only put this story in here because I wanted the title of Nerds versus Jocks for the show.
I did stream the World Cup when ESPN was streaming it, and I have to say they did a very good job. The quality was pretty good. I mean, the first maybe 10-15 seconds was a little pixelated, very like noisy, whatever, but afterwards it was a steady stream, it was a good stream, and I believe they streamed pretty much every game. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that initial rockiness is something that people have complained about last year's stream through NBC. Hopefully this year CBS gets on top of it, but I don't know if they really need to be so on top of it. I think it's probably rocky at the beginning because a lot of people are just like, well, let me check this out. So it kind of like overloads their servers and gets a little choppy, and then people drop out because they're like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I watching this on a laptop when I have a huge TV sitting right there? You know?
Right.
But last year, let's see, 2.1 million people checked out the game on streaming. That is, of course, compared to 111.3 million who watched the game on TV. But 2 million people, that's still
a good number. That's still a good number. Yeah. Think about it.
I wonder if those people were at work.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Maybe people are at work or for whatever reason, they're just watching it from their laptop or
driving.
Driving.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, all right, so let's see. ESPN did the World Cup. NBC did the Olympics. Now CBS is doing the Super Bowl. It'll be interesting to see what kind of complaints people have, and if they're similar, and if there's one broadcast channel that's better than the others when it comes to digital online stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this stream is received, because, like I said, last year all the negative comments about the stream were that it didn't include the commercials or the halftime show. And this year, now that it includes that, people are going to have to
find something new to complain about.
Right, exactly. So I want to see what that thing is that they're going to fixate on, and is it going to be quality, or does that not matter to people? Because maybe people, like you said, who are watching it on their laptop are watching it at work, and any way of getting the content is a way of getting the content. They don't care if it's in HD or slightly muddy. They get to hear the calls, they get to see the people running around. Who cares if it's not in 1080p? So we'll see what happens.
Interesting.
All right, our next story goes back to nerd news.
Yay!
Again, like I have so many stories this week where I have to start out with, I don't know if you guys care about this. But did you see that Wizards of the Coast, the people who bought TSR, have announced that they are releasing a lot of the archives of Dungeons and Dragons manuals, as well as storylines and modules for downloadable PDFs online. So I guess I should start with, did you guys care about Dungeons and Dragons growing up? Was that a thing for you guys?
I was a comic book geek, not so much Dungeons and Dragons nerd.
Never got into...
I played Dungeons and Dragons in college for about a good 2 years solid. Had a great chaotic evil character that I liked a lot.
It's role-playing, right? It's essentially role-playing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of your...
Oh, yeah. It was Nortak, the Spider King.
Wow, that's a great name.
King.
Yeah, Nortak. He was awesome. I had this spider that I rode around on, and it was fun. It was a good time. A lot of drinking and killing, and
any game could be fun when you're
any game. You could do that with Monopoly.
Well, all right, I take it back. Not any game is fun. See, it sounds like to me that you were playing the advanced rules. I was of the generation that they released the basic rule set too. So it was much easier. There weren't character and race classes. It was
really?
Yeah, it's like you could be an elf. You couldn't be like an elf fighter. You were just an elf or a halfling or a dwarf.
We had sub genres and all that sort of stuff, and we actually got into a scenario where I had to actually go out of the room with the dungeon master because something had happened where, like, I ran into some doppelganger of me, and it consumed me, and then I had to take on the role of the doppelganger and kill everybody. It was horrible.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was one of the worst games of my life.
Because your guy died, essentially.
Yeah,
the guy
because he did. It was like, he was like a faux Spider King after that.
Spider King.
Now, it sounds. Did you guys use modules, or did your dungeon master come up with the games on there?
He did his own. He made up his own. He was pretty hardcore. I mean, he had the whole thing set up in front of him, so it was like his own little barricade, and he had the dice back there. So who knows what he was doing back there? He could have been streaming the Super Bowl for
Yeah, this announcement that all these modules are available was, like, at first to me kind of exciting. I was like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons, and then part of me was like, maybe I should download this and, like, just try and, relive the old glory days of sitting around with some dice and being stupid about attacking things and stuff.
Sure.
But then I realized that when I was a kid playing Dungeons and Dragons, I got the basic rules, but I didn't have any kind of money of my own. I was too young to, like, my allowance. I would have to save it up for months if I wanted to even buy one of these modules. So me and my friends would come up with our own stories. So I'm thinking, like, yeah, I could buy these, but I used to come up with my own stuff. So it's kind of like a bittersweet thing. It's like they're all available, but I'm not going to buy any of them. Maybe I'll buy the core rules again or something. Or, I'm pretty sure I still have the boxes of rules in my parents' basement, where Dungeons and Dragons should be. In your parents' basement.
Now, you never played it, Lewis, at all?
No, never played it.
Never played it.
Well, now's our chance. Would you guys be up? We could do a Google Hangout and play Dungeons and Dragons. And you guys are not excited at all.
You know what? I was thinking back on when we would play, because we would start on a Saturday afternoon, like about 4, and go until 3 in the morning. And I'm going, you know what, man? I can barely sit through The Bachelor. I don't know how I could relive.
Well, honestly, this season, that's all Sean's fault.
I know. I know. It is.
Revealing a little too much about my TV watching habits.
No, just a lot of dragon is what that is.
He is a boring, boring man.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you ever loved Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, now is your chance. I guess for like the first week or so, all the modules and rules are discounted, so you can get things for up to half off. I don't know. I'm thinking. I don't know. Should I buy the PDF? Because I probably do have the rules somewhere.
What's the price for it? What is the price for, like, one module?
The modules... See, that's the other thing. I did not open that page. I need to. Let's see. Modules. I think they're as low as like $4.99 for some.
Oh, that's not bad. That's an easy buy. That's like buying a high-end app for your iPhone.
I was about to say, yeah, it's almost like.
Yeah. I guess, and if you're gonna, have people over to play it, $5 for hours of entertainment isn't so bad. But again, when compared to the fact that Dungeons and Dragons is supposed to be all about creativity and role playing, and you could just make your own stuff up for free,
right?
But I guess sometimes you want to have it all packaged for you as well. You don't want to spend days creating a campaign that turns out your friends will hate absolutely at the end of it. So pay $5. These are tried and true, tested ones. All right, and now our last piece of jock news. Tangentially, wow. I'm really stretching it at this point. Did you see that chicken wing prices are on the rise?
I did not, but I'm horrified.
This is obviously tied into the Super Bowl, which is coming up on Sunday. If you're going to buy chicken wings in the store, I don't know. They kind of mentioned they didn't mention if this is applicable to like buying them from a place, but it seems that chicken prices are on the rise due to a drought that happened last year. Also, due to a glut of chicken from last year. So I guess they overproduced chicken last year. So farmers were like, well, let's raise less chickens this year.
Let's
in the factory, do a chicken press, another chicken just comes out.
First spoiler of the first chicken cloning, folks, right here.
So if you want to have chicken wings at your party, it is probably going to cost you a couple cents more this year than it did last year. However, the National Chicken Council estimates that...
National Chicken Council. How do you get a job there?
The NCC.
Which came first, the National Egg Council?
Exactly.
What
do you do there? What do you do at the National Chicken Council?
You make chickens.
Yeah. I'll bet the salary's not that good. Like, it's really nothing to crow about.
It's only chicken feed they pay you.
Oh, thank you.
They are expecting that 1.23 billion chicken wings are going to be consumed during Super Bowl weekend.
Wow. A lot of chicken wings for one weekend.
A lot.
That is.
I mean, let's see, you divide that in half, and that's that many chickens, sure. But actually, no, you divide it in quarters, right? Because each chicken wing is like that little drumsticky part in the actual wing. So divide that in a quarter, and you'll see how many chickens had to give up their poor little arms for your enjoyment.
Yes.
Because that's how it's done. They don't slaughter the whole chicken. They just clip off the wings.
Ouch.
And on behalf of us at the Wingless Chicken Foundation, I would just like to say... Did you see chicken wings? Is everybody here a chicken wing fan? First and foremost.
I've been known to.
Lewis looks.
Not enough meat. Not enough meat. Back when I used to eat chicken, the chicken wing was not fulfilling enough for me, and I'd have to have like 6 or 8 or more. There's just not enough meat on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you order wings, you're looking at bulk eating, but I definitely understand the whole. The concept of reward for work. You know, it's like, especially that one that's, like that piece which has the meat inside.
Right. Like in between the two bones, you kind of have to
you wind up having to push it out or something. Or tear it.
A buddy of mine from Tennessee showed me how to do that. How to actually eat that piece and get maximum enjoyment. You take the little thin bone out first, twist it off, and then take the other one, stick it in your mouth, and then just pull the meat off. You shred it off that way, and it works. I thought the same thing. I thought it was ridiculous, but it actually works.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that there's an easier way of eating that, like that you can just pop it open and eat the halves. But for some reason, every time I pick one of them up, I eat around it, and then I spend fruitless seconds trying to get my teeth is levered, and then I realize, why am I putting myself through this? Yeah.
But did you guys hear that in New York they caught these 2 guys stealing I think hundreds of pounds of chicken wings?
What?
It was on the news last night, and it's funny because that's exactly why they were doing it, because they knew that chicken wing prices were going up. So they pulled up. I forgot if they pulled up to a supermarket or to an actual store like a KFC or a Popeyes, and they just pulled up with a truck and they just loaded the truck up with wings and. They got caught because, you're stealing a bunch of wings in a truck and the camera's there, and they weren't the brightest of thieves.
Apparently not. Wow.
Well, what this whole talk about wings reveals to me is that, Dan, I think one of our future podcast video extras has to be you demonstrating how to
yeah.
eat a chicken wing.
Had I known, had I read the notes beforehand, I would have prepped for that.
Yeah, I threw it in at the last minute when I realized I wanted to do the jock versus nerd thing, but I don't know. All right, let's finish up with that jock versus nerd.
Well, hold on,
segment.
but let me top it off. One more thing. Did you know, a little bit of chicken wing trivia, that the chicken wing was actually Colonel Sanders' favorite part of the chicken?
Oh, really?
Huh.
Yep, true story.
But he never really offered wings. Like, I mean, you would get the wings deep fried never, but he never went for the buffalo wings.
No,
so just like the wing meat itself.
He thought that was the sweetest part of the bird.
Well, we should all endeavor to be a little bit more like Sanders and give respect to the wing.
I just want to wear the cool little bow tie that he had.
Yes. Every time I think about that bow tie, have you ever seen that internet meme where it's like small body? Once you see it, you can never unsee it.
You can never forget it.
Yeah.
You know? And now when I look at Colonel Sanders' head, I see this tiny little body instead of his bow tie. All right, we do have one piece of real news that I would like to cover before we run out of time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure if it is huge news or not, but I wanted to ask you guys what you thought. It was announced. Well, so I guess they kind of like silently slipped it into their store. But Apple has added a 128 gigabyte version of the iPad. Now, this is something that people have been clamoring for quite some time. Like, why don't we have a 128 iPad? And I've always held that with the cloud, 64 gigabytes should be enough. You know, like just swap things back and forth. Do you guys see any need for a 128 gigabyte iPad, or are people just crazy to want this?
I think people might be crazy to want it because, I mean, like you said, if you're getting a tablet, you're not going to load it up with a ton of stuff. You're going to use the cloud. You're going to use, you're going to use whatever means you can so that you have free space on your tablet. And, to offer a 128 gigabyte iPad at $799, $799. Think of how many you could probably get 2 decent laptops for that price.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Very much so. Well, I guess what they're aiming for, the price point, right, is to compete with the Surface Pro.
Absolutely. And in that sense, it makes sense because the Surface Pro starts off at 64 gigabytes for $899. Which
but, I mean, in all honesty, does Apple really even need to compete with Microsoft on that? I mean, if we were to just be completely honest, Apple has the tablet market completely locked up, in a sense. You know what I mean? With the exception of the Kindle, Fire. But honestly, a 128 iPad, people are going to buy it.
Yeah. Well,
regardless, it's got an Apple on it. People will buy it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if, from Apple's perspective, you can't give anyone an inch in the competition. Like, it might not impact any sort of sales now. By having the Surface Pro come out and have 128 gigabyte storage capacity. But, 1 or 2 people might be like, they offer 128 gigabytes. Maybe I should buy the larger one. And then once someone has that kind of like nail hold into the market, things might start to swing. So maybe for Apple, it's just easier to squash it early. Like
they want to cover all their bases. They want to cover all their bases. Say, hey, look, you know what? The iPad goes high capacity. We have 128 gigabytes, and guess what? It's cheaper than the Surface Pro.
Yeah, they're not really they didn't really want this market, but it's easy enough for them to throw a larger drive into the models they already have and sell it to people that now, because someone else offers it, will think maybe I want that. I'm sure the people at Apple are just like, ugh. Can't believe it. I can't believe we have to offer this now.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. It's so random for them to announce that today. Right. What is it, January, whatever, just maybe days or weeks before the Surface Pro comes out. It's just not Apple's typical style to announce, oh, here's a bigger iPad, just randomly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird announcement, and I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that it is to combat that Surface Pro that's coming out soon, which they say like the 128 model is supposed to be what, $999 or something like that
for the Pro.
Yeah,
I believe so.
That is ridiculous. Of course, go on.
No, I'm personally, I think Surface Pro is just dead. It's dead.
Yeah.
Their pricing is Microsoft.
It was a great idea.
Right.
Right.
A great idea.
Whose time had gone before it even came.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You know what? I'm going to stick with this. I think Apple, moving forward after this, should just make an upgradable iPad. Like, you know what I mean? It's like swappable. Like you can add a better screen. Here, you can add a plate in the back to take it off and throw in an SSD up to whatever size you want. You know, of course, make it all proprietary so they can make billions of dollars.
Sure.
Right.
But
they just sell you a bag of parts. It'll look like an Erector set. It comes in a huge box with with an Allen key to put it on.
Yeah, it's like the iLincoln log version of the iPad or something. But it just seems like, man, this has been my biggest beef with Apple ever since the first iPad came out, is they didn't give the consumer an opportunity to add, like, say, an SD card for whatever, you know, amount of memory they wanted to add in there. That just irks me.
Yeah, well, I think they saw too many other of their competitors try and please a larger audience and wind up losing market share because of it. You know, it's like, well, you can update with this and that and this, whereas Apple was always very clean and just had like one product, take it or leave it. Sure, that has kind of degraded over the past couple of years with, you know, for this carrier, that carrier, sizes, screens. You know, now they offer the iPad 2 and the new iPad and whatnot, but like 3 iPhones are on the market now. But I think these are all things that they find now that they have to do, and they're never going to offer up something that they don't feel they need to offer, you know?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They're going to leave that up to other people to like muddy their own waters with all the different offerings of, like, you know, swapping things out and stuff, and they'll just keep the one sealed case, and that's good enough, you know.
Yeah.
If it's good
A
enough,
guy can dream, though, can't he?
Right. Keep dreaming. I think Apple aims for like the 90%, you know, where there's another 10% that's like, gosh, I wish this were moddable, and they're just like, well, we have this 90% of market share, so all right, go mod something else. We don't care about you, you know.
Right.
So. All right, on that note, that is about all the time we have for the show, so I want to thank you guys for joining me.
Wow, thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Listeners, for links to today's stories, Twitter feeds, blog links, and more, head on over to our show notes page. Also, feel free to send us feedback to podcast@dealnews.com. I'm Jeff Somogyi. Goodbye.